Hey, it's Birdman. Time for another Arizona White Mountain podcast, Community Shout, brought to you by the town of Pine Top Lakeside. We're hanging out here in the studio, of course, under COVID-19 rules. So it's isolation. We'll have a telephone interview. And then, of course, I've got with me my wife here, Allison Hephner. How are you?
Very good.
Good. So we've got a few things to talk about today. One of them is going to be with the community garden. But first up, let's talk a little bit about the food collaborative.
Yes. So we met again. We meet every Monday to see what we need. And there's a couple items that are needed. Spray bottles, lots and lots of spray bottles. Bleach is another item. And then if you have books and you want to continue to donate books, they will continue to divide those up and hand those out. We had a phenomenal donation of those. It was awesome to see everybody come together, and all of these different agencies partnering. We're very excited to see what came in, and I'm sure these kids are going to be very excited to see what they're getting. So spray bottles and bleach. The other items, this ask is a pretty big ask, but we need thermometers and pulse socks, and that is for the families on the reservation.
So thermometers, you mean the infrared type that you don't touch kind of a deal, or do you mean thermometers like the ones you put in your mouth?
Whatever you can find.
Okay.
Because
what was the other item?
A pulse socks. You put your finger on it and tells you your breathing level. Because it's a respiratory illness, it's important to families who have a COVID positive case at home. If we could give them thermometers and pulse socks, then they would know if they were coming down with symptoms as well, or things like that. So those are the needs right now, but we've been doing really great. We're great on boxes. Thank you very much, everybody. TNT Exteriors is brought 150 boxes up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was very nice of them. And we've had a lot of people helping. Tiffany at Cattleman's has been phenomenal at connecting us to some spray bottles, but if you have more out there, it would be very helpful. So I have Ann Cameron and Vicki Matsumongi on the phone, and they have been with the community garden for quite some time, and when I was involved as well. And we're talking today about what happened over the Easter weekend. Ann, do you want to tell everybody what ended up happening over the weekend? Or was it last week? It was last week, correct?
It was last week.
Okay.
It was Wednesday, April 8th, and Thursday, April 9th, into the morning of April 9th.
Okay.
And we had some poor person who was looking for some shelter, and he started a fire in the high tunnel, and it got out of control and burnt quite a bit of stuff, and a big hole in the skin over our high tunnel.
And your high tunnel is what you guys use for preparing for the rest of your planting throughout the season, right? For when you go high tunnels winter, and then ground is during the rest of the summer, but you also are able to use the high tunnel during the summer as well.
Right. Correct. We had just finished planting like 150 plant starts, mostly tomatoes, but we have onions and lettuce and radish. And so we had just finished planting all those, so we would have an early harvest for everybody. But now a lot of them have died. We're trying to keep them as warm as possible, but we have a gigantic hole in our high tunnel, so we're not getting any warmth to stay in here during the day and warm up the soil.
So what we need is it damaged some equipment, it damaged the high tunnel, and we're asking, we need to raise about $3,000 pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay. And that would, Vicki, do you know what that would replace? Besides obviously it wouldn't replace the whole high tunnel. It's just you're looking at patching it up.
The covering, we have to recover the whole thing, which measures 72 by 35 by 12 feet high.
Yeah, 30 by 72.
So it needs a whole new skin, and it's been pretty beaten up anyhow by the wind and elements over the years. But anyhow, it still had some life to it, but not anymore.
No, and that needs to happen as soon as possible, especially with the nights. You're starting to lose some things. So it's going to get down to the 20s tonight. Is there any way that maybe we can get some plastic? We'll see if we can get some plastic over there today to try to cover some of that hole. Maybe even with just tape until I don't know.
You could try.
I don't know how much that will do, but
the wind is so bad.
Is it
here.
okay?
Bad. It
I
stresses
think
everything.
I think it's better just to let it stay open. We have covered the plants.
Okay, good.
And yeah, so we come in every day to check to see, how they're doing, and they seem to be doing okay. But
So I do have a question that I want you to we have a Venmo account set up under at
yeah,
White Mountain, or it's at W,
it's
what is it, Vicki?
it's WMCG dash Sholo.
And they can submit a payment there or help donate there. It's
Yeah,
$3,000 that can be raised pretty quickly in our community. Now, the community garden, for those of that people don't know, can you guys explain to what the community garden is? Because you guys created this garden for the community. That's exactly what it does. So what are some of the things that you provide through this garden?
well,
So many, I know.
I know it.
a lot of work for people. But yeah, we have in-ground plots, and we have raised beds that we rent out to people to do their own gardening, and also pay a water fee. But the real community part of the garden is the help portion, HEALP, healthy eating
And living participation
right.
program.
And this is for people who don't want to, don't have a home garden and really don't want to do anything, in terms of taking care of their own garden here. So these are for people who work, and they can come here and give us 2 or 3 hours a week. And then
they can participate in our harvest.
right. And so when we're ready to harvest, they take home great organic and heirloom tomatoes and organic vegetables.
And something you've always done too is you guys have your show to help promote and educate people about gardening and healthy eating. You are able to the garden actually, which is really unique, is a place for people to do community service, and they get to learn gardening. You've had other programs like Blue Vase come in and be a huge partner in getting things done around the garden. I know personally, because you have master gardeners there, I've learned a lot about community gardening, and I was able to now take what I learned there and do it at my home, which is awesome. And then you also give produce and donate produce where is needed as well, correct?
To different churches, to Walking Down Ranch, Meals on Wheels.
So awesome. So
whenever we hear something,
so
somebody needs
my
something.
point I want to make to the viewers is this is the community's garden, and you guys have done a phenomenal job of being a steward of this for our community to enjoy it, and for these agencies and organizations to enjoy it, and for people to learn. You're teaching people how to grow food. You're not just giving them food, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
and that's part of our mission.
Our
mission statement
education,
also.
yes.
Yep, education, so that they don't have to rely on somebody else.
That's
like you, they can do it at home.
And that's important now.
Okay, so we had we were teaching gardening classes at the library, and also at NPC, but because of the virus, we've had to cancel everything. But now, as of the 15th, which is in a couple of, is that tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay, as of tomorrow at 10 o'clock on Facebook, people can log in and take a class through our instructor, who is Chris Coates, who is a master gardener and a certified arborist. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's free.
Awesome.
And so she's continuing the classes. So everybody is invited to come and join us in this Facebook online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she have to go to MPC site or just
no?
Facebook?
She's I think she's at the studio.
Awesome.
Sholo TV studio.
Oh, okay. So Vicki, if you can send us that information, we'll put it up. We're also going to put the Venmo up. And thank you, ladies, so much for being there and making this garden for the community and keeping it going. We appreciate you, and we hope that we can get that money raised here quickly so that you can continue to do what you're doing.
Well, thank you for the publicity and the exposure.
And the help you gave us for years. We miss you.
Oh, I love you ladies. You're amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, and also La Casita has, they closed down like at the beginning of all this in March, and they've reopened. and they now have carry out and stuff. So you want to talk a little bit about them?
Yes, they have my favorite chili relleno enchilada style green. Their green sauce is amazing. And they're open for takeout between 11 and 6. And then they have a special 6 bean and 6 red mixed burritos and 6 tacos for $35. So you can have a meal for your family if you can.
Yeah, and I think they make them so you can freeze them and hold them, and then use them later. So,
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah, no. I cannot wait for my rellenos. Makes me happy.
Very cool. Anything else?
Yeah, one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to save this to the end because this is always a hard thing to talk about. I wanted to talk about a friend that we lost over the weekend.
Yeah.
And maybe you would be better to do that.
So the mountain lost, and I said when I posted it up on the Birdman Media page, we've lost an angel. Buck Biddle passed. He had gone to the hospital and come back. It was not COVID-19 related, for those that were interested in knowing. Buck had been battling some things for quite some time, and it's been actually a couple years. But the guy, I think, lived by the sheer will of who he was. He gave and gave and gave to this community and got other people to give as well and put their time in. His number one thoughts was always for the communities, for veterans, and for those who were less fortunate than others. So, I don't have any details as far as a memorial for Buck or anything like that, but I can tell you this. The thing that would be the best memorial for Buck is to take a little bit of your life and live like Buck.
Give. I wanted to read something. Wiley Atchison at the newspaper wrote this, and I thought it was really, really quite nice. And really, if most of us in the community know Buck. Buck was a huge leader and a family member to everybody here. But he says, I consider myself a FOB, friend of Buck's. The first time I heard that expression was at a Washington Federal mixer. I was standing next to Bob and Linda Gates, and Bob explained it to me. Buck was only small in stature. Everything else about him was huge. His passion to help others, his heart, and his commitment were unparalleled. He could also be a huge pain in the butt when he thought you should get involved on one of his pet projects. The mark he left on Arizona White Mountain will be remembered for many generations. Buck had a knack for inviting people to lunch to introduce them, or more FOB. I will never forget my friend Buck. I have no doubt he is holding court with the FOBs that have gone before him. Regret is a terrible emotion. I am so sorry I could not be there for him when his time of need, and Godspeed, Submarine. So Buck Biddle was a submarine vet, for those that don't know, but I'm pretty sure everybody knew who Buck was. Buck lived his life to help others. If you needed something, you could call Buck, and if he didn't have it, he'd find it. And Buck would call you and say, hey, I need this. And you knew that it was a great relationship.
When you got the call for Buck, it was like, you need to do this. Okay.
Okay, yeah, and he did, and he was able to do it. He was always behind the curtains doing that. And I remember sitting down at his house talking to him, and he talked about his submarine life, and that's where he got it. He's like, I just had this book, and anybody I met, I just wrote down their number because I knew someday I might need to use them or get something for them or help them, or maybe they needed something. So he was awesome at doing that, and he never turned anybody away. And a lot of the time, he used his own money. I mean, he called us one time for some things, and he's like, "I'll buy it," and I'm like, just to give it to another thing to raise money. So
very good, awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, just
good.
live like Buck.
So just live like Buck and be good to each other. Hey, that's going to be it for this week's Arizona White Mountain podcast. The community shout here, and can't wait to get back to normalcy. I think we've had enough time alone. Looks like we'll be getting opened back up and opening things everywhere around the mountain. We're looking to see people out and talking about what's going on, talk about what you did while you were in your own little hibernation, and have fun out there. And can't wait to change my little catchphrase back. But for right now, I won't see you around town. I'll catch you right here on the web.